I'm Genevieve Ryan. I'm the founder and CEO of Real World Playbook. We're a GPS for adulthood, so we help young adults navigate that tricky time between school and the real world, which I'm sure many of you, everyone here most likely has had to go through. And the problem we're really solving is this. I'm so ready for the real world, says no one. And how can you blame them? We don't learn real world skills necessarily in school. By the time we get to an employer, they sort of expect us to know what's a 401k, how do I manage my finances, how do I choose a health insurance plan? And oftentimes these skills aren't really taught at home. This was certainly my experience. So I'm a lawyer by background, which meant that I had additional schooling after I graduated from college. So by the time I entered the real world, I was 26, I had an advanced degree, but I had no idea how to choose a health insurance plan, how to pick a 401k or start investing, or even really how to boost my credit through a credit card. And so 20-somethings around the country are totally overwhelmed and clueless when it comes to all of these different real-world skills. And again, you can't really blame them. I mean, pop culture has taken a couple of hits at this whole adulting phenomenon by saying it's so great that we learn Pythagorean theorem and mitochondrion and all of these wonderful, very useful skills when we get out there, but no one ever talks about taxes, no one talks about credit, and all of those sorts of things. And while this is a humorous take on this whole life moment, we've dug deeper, and the reality is a little bit more concerning. Students are graduating from college, or not graduating, as you've heard from lots of folks today, and they're totally confused and feel unprepared for this next life moment. And while this is one student's perspective, zoom out. Take a look at the trends that are impacting the next generation who are entering the real world. We've got a student loan crisis that's looming, sort of the next financial crisis in our world. We've got all these wonderful first-generation students starting out in school, and while schools have done a great job of democratizing the entrance into college, they haven't really thought about that exit. Who's there supporting these students with all these real-world skills? And then finally, the gig economy. It's here, it's growing. Students aren't necessarily going to work at Ford and GM for their whole career. They're freelancers. They're developing things, they're writing, and they have to figure out all of these real-world things on their own. So at Real World Playbook, we are real-world experts. We've done the research, we've conducted thousands of interviews with students and parents and employers and university folks, and really understood this life moment. We've put forth original research and have been noted as thought leaders in the space. And our mission is to simplify adulthood. The way that we think about that is really in a three-part solution. First is around providing practical education, so all of those skills I mentioned before around finance, healthcare, et cetera. Second is by providing vetted tools and resources for students to actually take action on these different learnings. And then finally, we're looking to create a sense of community and narrative around this life moment that's pretty isolating at this point. So we're all about education here, so I'll start there, give you a little bit of background. About a year ago, we launched our Real World Ready program, which is a comprehensive online solution to understand everything from employer paperwork and how to negotiate your salary to employer benefits, understanding grad school, how to pay for it, what your options are, to things like personal finance, understanding health insurance, living on your own, signing a lease, renter's insurance, student loans, starting a first job, and the paperwork you have to fill out on day one, setting up a 401k, and then finally things like filing taxes, registering to vote, really all of the real world things that are never covered on college campuses. We're so excited now to be working with colleges. We're in 15 schools across the country, schools like Princeton and Stanford, Williams, Colby, Michigan State, and UGA. So big schools, small schools, private, public, all across. And just to lift the hood a little bit and give you a sense as to what this program looks like, we've tried to make it as friendly as possible. It's cartoon-based, it uses millennial and Gen Z type of language, and it basically takes these pretty boring subjects and distills them into the critical features you need to know in a really accessible way. So things like health insurance, some of this stuff still might be new to you guys, you might still have questions about these sorts of things, refinancing for student loans, and then finally, meeting the match for an employer-sponsored retirement account. So really giving a full gamut of all of these different real-world skills out there in an accessible way. But while we started with education, we realized that's not enough. It's great to teach people these skills, but we want them to go out there and actually set up a credit card and know how it works. Set up an IRA to start saving for retirement. Really choose the right health insurance plan for them. So we built an online platform of tools and resources across all the subjects you see at the top. Finance, health, living, work-related, and government-related things. This is everything from the basic vocabulary, so what is a tax bracket, for example, within the taxes section? What is it? How to use it in a sentence? Forms, one of the trickiest parts about being an adult, all the different forms out there. We've decoded them all, showed you what they are, when you're going to see them, what you need to do with them. Same thing by creating sample emails. What are you supposed to send to your landlord when you're asking them about renter's insurance? How do you reach out to your HR rep and ask them about health insurance? How do you dispute something, a credit error on your credit report? So really making that whole process seamless. And then finally, we've really scanned the space across all of those different verticals and found the best partners out there and the best services to be able to recommend to our user base. So for example, here within our mental health section, the company Talkspace. I'll close by really just mentioning community. That's the whole idea here, is to make this a less scary life moment. We've spent the time, the last 2 years, really understanding this life moment and students as they're going through it, and this is really what they're feeling. So whether you're a university administrator, whether you work at a big company that has a lot of young people who you're hiring, whether you're going through this life moment, we'd love to talk to you more about it and share how we're really disrupting adulthood. So thank you so much. Please check us out at realworldplaybook.com. And again, I'm Genevieve Ryan, happy to chat after. Thanks so much for your time.